Daf Yomi, tractate Bava Batra 2b, part 2, with the words Viha V'chein Ketani Agavil Be'gazis. The Gemara objects, but the Mishnah teaches, and similarly with regard to a garden, which suggests that a garden and a courtyard are governed by the same rationale. The Gemara answers the term and similarly is stated not with regard to the reason for the obligation to construct a wall, but with regard to the halakha concerning non-chiseled and chiseled stones. A partition in a garden is built with the same materials used for the building of a wall in a courtyard in accordance with regional custom. The Gemara suggests, come and hear a proof from the Mishnah in 5a. In the case of a dividing wall in a jointly owned courtyard that fell, if one of the owners wishes to rebuild the wall, the court obligates the other owner to build the wall with him, again up to a height of 4 cubits. This indicates that damage caused by sight is called damage. The Gemara rejects this proof. The case of a wall that fell is different. Since a wall had already stood there, the court compels the owners to rebuild it as it was. The Gemara expresses its astonishment, and he who asked the question, why did he ask it at all? The Mishnah is clearly referring to a wall that has fallen, which means that the joint owners have already agreed in the past to build a partition between their respective portions. The Gemara answers, he who asked the question maintains that the joint owners can be compelled to build a wall, even in a case where a wall had not stood there before, to prevent any invasion of privacy. And the Mishnah does not address the case of a wall that fell to teach that only in such a case is there an obligation to build a wall. Rather, it was necessary to teach the latter clause, which states that even in a case where there had previously been a high wall, the court does not obligate him to rebuild it higher than 4 cubits, because once there is a wall of 4 cubits, there is no further invasion of privacy. The Gemara suggests, come in here, an additional proof that damage caused by sight is called damage, from what is taught in the Mishnah on 7b. The residents of a courtyard can compel each inhabitant of that courtyard to financially participate in the building of a gatehouse and a door to the jointly owned courtyard, so that the courtyard not be open to the eyes of those standing in the public domain. Learn from it that damage caused by sight is called damage. The Gemara answers, this is not proof to the halakha in the case of 2 neighbors, as the damage of being exposed to the gaze of the general public, which has unimpeded sight of what is happening in the courtyard, is different and certainly called damage. The Gemara asks, is exposure to the sight of an individual not considered damage? Come and hear a proof that it is called damage from what is taught in the Mishnah on 11a. One divides the courtyard at the request of one of the co-owners if its area is sufficient, so that there will be in it 4 by 4 cubits for this one and 4 by 4 cubits for that one. That is the same minimal dimensions for each of the co-owners. This means that if there is enough for this one and enough for that one, they do divide the courtyard at the request of one of the owners. What is it not, so that the courtyard must be divided with a wall that will prevent one neighbor from seeing the other? The Gemara answers, no, perhaps it is divided with a mere partition of pegs through which one can still see. The Gemara further suggests, come in here another proof that damage caused by sight is called damage, from what is taught in the Mishnah 22a. One who desires to build a wall opposite the windows of a neighbor's house must distance the wall 4 cubits from the windows, whether above, below, or opposite. And a Braita is taught with regard to that Mishnah concerning the requirement of a distance above. The wall must be high enough so that one cannot peer into the window and see into the window. Concerning the requirement of a distance below, the wall must be low so that he will not be able to stand on top of it and see into the window, and concerning the requirement of a distance opposite, one must distance the wall from the windows so that it will not darken his neighbor's house by blocking the light that enters the house through the window. This indicates that there is a concern about the damage caused by exposure to the gaze of others. The Gemara rejects this argument. The damage of being exposed to the sight of others while in one's own house is different, as people engage in activities in their homes that they do not want others to see. By contrast, a courtyard is out in the open, and it is possible that the residents are indifferent to being observed. The Gemara challenges this distinction. Come and hear a proof. As Rav Nachman says, that Shmuel says, if one's roof is adjacent to another's courtyard, he must make a parapet around the roof, 4 cubits high, so that he will not be able to see into his neighbor's courtyard. This indicates that the damage of being exposed to the eyes of others, even in a courtyard, is called damage. The Gemara refutes this proof. The situation is different there, as the owner of the courtyard can say to the owner of the roof, I make use of my courtyard on a regular basis. You, by contrast, do not make use of your roof on a regular basis, but only infrequently. Consequently, I do not know when you will go up on to the roof.